But yeah, that's a
Poor
fucking
Capcom.
weird story happening, you know, and that sucks. That don't fucking do that.
So before we get too far away from
Ma-
this,
mm-hmm.
the Watch Dogs Legion source code got leaked out basically as a direct result of the exact same thing happening to Ubisoft. And Ubisoft correctly did not play ball, and thus the source code for Legion came out. However, there was some very interesting technical data in this that, as like the programming, like how the game is actually built.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was sitting in Discord with some friends of mine, one of which has been a QA lead for decades and is also a programmer, and two other career programmers. And not none of them, like my friend in QA has done game dev, right? But the other two haven't, right? But we're sitting there and they're all just staring at these programming blocks, and they start to swear and go, "Oh no." And what the fuck is this? And I, as not a programmer, not a person who understands even the rough explanation that was given to me, had to ask for many explanations. I actually had my friend type it out for me. But basically, some screenshots came out of what the Watchdog scripting language looks like, and it is bordering on very similar to a programming language called Scratch, which is a programming language to teach children how to program. It is a basic ass programming language. And with that, I'm actually just going to quote my friend who knows a lot more from me than I do. From what the leaks show, the programming language for Watchdogs is written in a Scratch like language or some other kind of block based programming language. These coding languages are essentially designed to do one of two things: teach introduction to how to code, or provide a somewhat easy to digest visualization of the code. The second is really common, depending on the department the code is from and the tool being used. For example, Riot uses in house thing for their animation tools, such as when this starts, here's the code sequence of animations played based on certain circumstances. However, in this Watchdogs thing, that doesn't appear to be the case. The code snippet in question is the damage AI multiplier logic, aka something you'd want on the back end and want optimized. The code snippet probably runs on every single damage hit based on the melee dot is in bare knuckle line. So they have their back end coders writing in a basic level introduction to coding script. On top of that, the code seems to be a sequence of if statements. Not even if else, but just if. Essentially, every single hit, they're checking multiple cases to correct this damage multiplier value. If statements are costly for optimization and are probably bogging down the resources every time this trigger is called. Every single if statement needs to be checked, and every time the function is called, every time damage is calculated. And this is only one function. So Ubisoft's games, Ubisoft's fucking Watch Dogs Legion and Valhalla run like goddamn shit on PC. And this code link seems to explain that the reason why Ubisoft games run so badly on many platforms is because they're in fact not optimized at all, and they're just brute forcing like probabilities of, did you shoot them? If
Mm-hmm.
so, check
If
100
if if
different
if 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 if
factors,
if if yeah.
right?
Now,
It sounds like a mess.
yeah, that is. I do not code at all. The closest thing I ever had towards coding was Mugen, and my understanding of that was based on Mugen specific uh, formatting and such. But that to me, the first thing that comes to mind, and this is just raw third ass chamber pull. So I have no idea, but that sounds to
Mm-hmm.
me like it's directly linked to the way uh, Ubisoft hires, specifically in Montreal and Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
where we have Ubi School. And Ubi School is where people here can go directly from a post high school program into game training, game programming, level developing, like what level designing, all these different things that are like parts of how to make a game. They have a school specifically that teaches you in the Ubisoft way of making games, and it teaches you their specific style and flowchart. At which point, then they, poach from that class whatever they need for the year, because they have a very large list of employees and a rotating door. So they just pull in new people straight from Ubi schools and throw them on projects regularly, because they basically are like, training their own new people up. And that leads to a lot of new talent that is not fully experienced being, on these teams. It also leads to a problem where a lot of these classes would create a situation where now you have, let's say they hired, 7 out of a class of 30 people that all graduated in level design. You now have 23 people that have, nowhere to really go get hired. And then they all go out and make that level design job that's available at that one other small studio at the moment really, really insanely competitive. And of course, this drops down the rate at which you have to pay these people, because it becomes a hiring market. But yeah, that sounds like something that could be directly tied to the fact that they're pulling people out of Ubi schools.
That's a piece of context that's actually really important, because like the long and short of it, after talking to my friends for a while, is like they're like, this stuff needs to be on the back end and you need to optimize the shit out of it. And if you don't, every part of it's going to run like shit. And this is like a single function for like firing a bullet.
Yeah, now that doesn't explain why senior programmers and senior team members wouldn't be doing things more efficiently and better. That doesn't explain that at all. But who knows how stretched thin the teams are, Who knows where the juniors are taking full control and responsibility while the seniors are managing some other aspect of the game entirely, or putting out some other fires, Wild. That's a wild one. It's not often that you get a story. In fact, I don't think I can't think of. Yeah, perhaps the only other time something similar has happened was with Yandere Simulator, I guess, right? Where it's like something leaks and then people look at it and go, "Oh, this is made really, really inefficiently.
It's made bad."
You don't often get a crack at you don't often get a crack at source code criticism in video games.
Yeah, the Sony leaks showed off like just. Dude, why did you build your store like this? Why did you build your security like this? What crack were you smoking? Why would anyone do it like this?
Mm-hmm. Did anyone have anything to say, I wonder, about the source code for Mario 64? Because, that shit fucking came out, right?
Yeah.
I know that they found... I'm going to get the details wrong here, but I remember there was a case where there was a game on... the WiiWare shop, and it might have been Majesco or some other company like that, or Infogrames or something, where the game used an emulator. It actually used I think it was a Game Boy or a SNES emulator, and you could see the usage of it in the source code for the WiiWare game. And after they found that, it was like a huge what the fuck, Nintendo's using emulators, and this whole crazy thing went down. And it was no, it turns out that this producer or this publisher ended up using a small team somewhere to port this game, and this small team did it, and then the whole thing, it was a gigantic mess. But essentially someone found a emulation code in a WiiWare game once, and that led to a whole thing that was is Nintendo fucking using emu? What is this? But and then it turns out it wasn't.
If I had to pull out a single game that people were able to criticize directly for every decision that they made at every point, it would be the original version of Final Fantasy 14, where every single thing that happened in the game was a script, and it would pull the server off of every button press in every menu.
That's insane. That's fucking insane. Jesus
Like
Christ.
it
Yeah.
wouldn't pull the server for did you choose to say yes, delete that item. It would pull the server for you mousing over to the item and
God damn.
clicking the item, and like, oh my god, like
Um,
why would you do it like that?
the game I was talking about is not the Cooking Mama scam with the fucking with the mining, the data mining and all that. That was another thing. I'm not talking about Cooking Mama. I'm talking about another game way older, years ago. I don't remember the name of the game or the company that
Oh
it
my
was, but
god.
yeah.
Somebody in the chat points out, I don't know if, I mean, I can't confirm this, but they say that Monster Hunter World updates their flags in cutscenes, which is why you're not allowed to skip cutscenes.
It doesn't. You
That's-
don't get this often, or just like the people who are like where the programming itself is not doing. But here's the other thing, right?
Well, you don't get it often in a public setting.
Yeah, yeah,
You and
yeah.
I have heard tons of people complain privately
Yeah.
about, I can't believe this fucking shit works like this.
Hmm.
But that's not exactly the same.
Something else I've learned about programming too over the years, again, especially since the Mugen days, has been that um, even when your shit is clean, there's always someone who can come along and look at it and get it way cleaner. So there's always someone who's just way better that can look at it and be like, "What the fuck is all this? What are you doing?" And then just do a way better job. You know,
There's a reason why John Carmack's a genius.
straight up. And you will see help forums when people are looking for help on like how to write arguments out properly or how to do certain how to code certain things, and then people will come in with multiple solutions, and then like you will just see like the different skill levels at play coming in. There's always someone that can clean it up more, even a little bit. Um, yeah, it is exactly
Code's
like
an art and a
it's art.
science.
It's exactly like art. So there's a point at which you kind of look at it and go, "That's acceptable for shipping. Go ahead."
So what you're saying is that Einstein could have really optimized the shit out of some anime titty game?
Um,
That's what you're saying?
I mean, if not his brain, then whose? You know,
If not his brain, then whose?
the most accurate and realistic jiggle physics we've never seen.
You brought it up a million years ago, and I think about it every time I think of devs showing off some
Rufus.
technical thing. No, I think about Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 2, where they showed off the independent boob physics as like characters' hairs were like clipping directly through their torsos.
Yes. Yes.
That was the one.
Priorities.